So, what's up, guys? We're on the charts, right? First day with some news, finally, some high impact news. We had PPI hit here, right? Which makes this a news low, which is, what is this? Which makes this low not that strong, to be honest. But we can still trade the upside here with this as our target and this bigger time frame target here, which I marked out. But I want to see what happens on open, because I don't like trading within the first few minutes of open. So we can see we're continuing down. Now, if we push up a lot from here, honestly, I might take that. I might take that as a trade. You can see the daily candle is very bullish. So I want to see what happens on open. This is open. Okay, pushing down super hard here. Pushing down super hard, which is very interesting. But like we said, guys, this here is not necessarily a strong low. We're still within this 15-minute FEG, but it is a news FEG like I marked out, right? Okay. Now the reason why I marked this as a 15-minute news FEG is because oftentimes moves created by high impact news, for example, this move was created by PPI, are not strong, meaning that this low right here could be taken as liquidity very well before going up, or we could just continue to dump. This is something that oftentimes tricks new traders, thinking that this is a very strong zone here to take buys from because it's such a strong move upward. However, the fact that this is a data low means that it is definitely a lot weaker than a normal low that was created in the markets. So let's check this out here. 5-minute candle is going to close pretty soon, and it's going to close pretty damn bearish, probably. 15-minute candle still active here. So we'll wait and see what happens. Currently, we are still within this news range here, right? This is kind of the range that was created by news. And as long as we are in here, I will be pretty careful about price. Because anything could happen in this range. We could wick the bottom and then continue to the highs. We could just continue to the high from here, or we could just dump on price. We can't know what happens, so we'll just follow the order flow, right? And the order flow currently on the 5 minute, on the 1 minute is bearish, right? We can see this here. It's now going to turn into an inversion, a 5-minute inversion. And on the 1 minute, we formed this bearish FEG here. I'm going to make this smaller so that we can focus a little bit more on the lower time frame price action here. So looking at this, we can see bullishness is coming into the market, yes, but there are also no bullish fair value gaps being built here. So I do not trust this bullish move at all until it kind of inverts this 5-minute inverse fair value gap. That's when I would start to trust a bullish move and I would take buys to the upside. But for now, we are moving pretty bearishly here, potentially wanting to take out this low here for liquidity. So let's wait and see if that happens. So we can see price definitely wanting to continue lower here. So my best guess is we're going to take this low, but like I always say, we don't trade what we think, we trade what we see. And right now I'm not seeing any trading opportunity, so we'll wait for now. We can see we've reacted off this 1 minute FEG. Took this liquidity here now. I do want to check if we've got any SMT with ES. Oh, yeah, we do. This is very interesting. So we're taking this liquidity here. Let me see on ES what's going on. Still kind of bearish on ES though, even. But the SMT here is pretty nice. That we have, like, there is definitely SMT building here. So what do we have here? We've got this bearish FEG. Now if we now do decide to push up here, and we kind of break through this FEG, I might take a trade like this on not my main accounts, because it's not technically a valid trade for my system, but something that could potentially make sense. However, the 15-minute here is closing incredibly bearish. Which is interesting. Let's see how this 15-minute closes. Because here's what makes today tricky, right? If this 15-minute closes bearish, then yeah, technically the 15-minute is turning bearish. But I don't necessarily want to take a trade just because the 15-minute breaks a low that was made through a news move. Because news moves are, like I said, not trustworthy in a sense. Look at this move up here, very interesting. So what can we see here? Price is potentially moving up here. But we are respecting this FEG. Okay. Respecting this FEG, going bearish. So we can now also see we did break this here. We did. So there is technically a bearish shift here, but on ES this shift hasn't happened yet, right? So we're at an uncertain point in the market here. And I'm going to put that here as well. But this is news because that makes it less strong. So this 15-minute candle is going to be interesting if it closes, creating like a big fair value gap here, a big bearish one, or if it actually moves up and it turns bullish. So if we do close above this, I'll take a trade on my secondary account, guys, not on my main accounts. Just kind of targeting 2R here, maybe even targeting this high. But let's see if that even happens. Or if we just continue bearish, and then we'll try and see if we can find a bearish trade, right? We trade what we see, not what we think. And what we can see right now is bearishness, right? Pretty clearly, we are respecting bearish FEGs, and we're continuing lower. So let's check this out here. What's happening here? Price is making an effort to have a bullish move here. There is also SMT, even more SMT, bullish SMT. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so let's see if we do end up closing above this FEG here, because then, like I said, I would take a trade on my secondary accounts. Probably with the SL somewhere here and the TP somewhere there. Okay, we can see this seems to be happening. So let's grab this as our SL, put that in there. Let's grab this as our TP. Okay, but price is still respecting the bearish FEG here. Interesting. So no trade. If we do get a break, I also want to see like a nice break above it, not some small break above the FEG. Okay, so we're moving down a lot right now. Look at this move. By the way, guys, this is also kind of why I can low-key recommend you guys to have your broker open. Like I always have my broker chart open on my phone on the side of my PC, because you can see here on TradingView there's one update every 5 seconds, right? So yeah, you can see price live, but you have one update every 5 seconds, and like, yeah, that's not an issue, but just sometimes, you know, I like to see some more updates. And yeah, you can buy the CME data pack as well. I just didn't do that. So I've got one update every 5 seconds, but on my broker I have it updated every second, so it doesn't really matter. And with my type of trading, I don't need to get updated every second because I trade up on candle closures anyway. You know, my entry is always going to be on a candle closure, not somewhere in the middle of a candle, so it doesn't really matter to me. Now let's take a look at the 15 minutes, 7 more minutes left here. We can see we tapped into the 15-minute order block essentially, and we're moving down now. So let's see what happens. We now have this 1 minute FEG. So I want to see if this can hold or if it will break. We can see on ES we're still having SMT here. We're still having SMT. ES does not quite want to take this low, which is interesting to see. Okay, so we're in an interesting position here. I want to check out how this candle closes and potentially take a buy here. If we close above here, kind of. Like this would be something that I'm interested in. But currently it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Currently we're still holding bearish. although we did inverse this FEG technically, but now we invert the inversion. So let's continue to wait. No buys here. But look at this price action on the 1 minute. Like, this is kind of shitty price action. This is not something I want to be involved in right now. So I'll wait for the 15-minute candle to close here. And then we'll see what's up, right? Unless we do close very bullish now here. But we're going bearish currently. So on the 1 minute we have some bullishness coming in again, but if this will hold is the question. So we're just waiting for now. I also don't really like these relative equal lows here that we have. Not a huge fan of those. Okay, so we can see the 15-minute closing bearish here. So now we do still have this IFEG, but what I want to look at now is this 15-minute FEG, which is not a news FEG, it's just a normal FEG. So if we get a retracement into this, I would be looking for sells. So the buys for me, like, yeah, we were kind of looking for some buys, but it just doesn't necessarily make, like, I would have liked to see a strong reaction after taking this liquidity to take buys, but there is definitely no strong reaction here at all. There is only weak reaction. So yeah, let's see if we can get some sells from the 15-minute FEG. Okay, so we're pushing up right now quite highly. So right before we were looking for buys here, which are technically still valid, but I don't want to buy within a 15-minute bearish FEG. It just doesn't make much sense, right? So I'd rather see if the 15-minute bearish FEG can give us a bearish reaction that we can take to the downside. That's what I would way rather see. So hit the 15-minute FEG now. We're in it. So let's see if we can get a reaction here. This is the 1-minute FEG bullish that I'm looking at to get inversed currently. But there's a lot of bullishness coming in here, right? So like I said, this is kind of the buy that I would have taken if it wasn't for this 15-minute bearish FEG here. Those could still be solid buys simply because of the crazy SMT with ES. But I'm just not feeling them. And I would rather go for sells here. Targeting the London lows and Asian lows. If we do get a sell setup, right? It could also just be that we run bullish from here. So yeah, strong bullishness coming in here. Interesting PA. Let's keep watching. So we can see price is moving up, right? This kind of trade idea that we had from here is playing out very well currently. But still, I'm happy that I didn't take it. Because this is what you need to understand. And this is very important. As a trader, you need to focus on building good processes, good systems, good decision making. That is what it is about. Focus on the input being you taking trades, and then the outcome will come by itself. So what I want you all to do, if you're watching this, for the next 30 days, take only trades that you genuinely believe are amazing trades. And you will see the difference this will make in your trading. Because look back at yourself, look back at how many trades you're taking where you're like, this is an average trade. There's probably quite a few of them, and probably quite a few of them are losses. So what happens if you only take those A+ trade setups is, well, first of all, your results are going to be better. But second of all, and even more important, is that you will learn to trust yourself more, you will learn to trust your system more, and to have more conviction in your system. Now let's check out this trade here. We can see we are going bearish here now, but we are also maybe building a 5-minute bullish FEG here. So this is interesting. We can see on the 1 minute bearish FEG happening. But at the same time on the 5 minute, bullish FEG. So once again, we're stuck between time frames. So what we'll do is we'll wait and see which of these holds. And let's say this one here doesn't hold. I might take a little contract here, a little buy here, but just on secondary account, right? I might take a little buy there on the secondary account. But currently it looks like it's holding. And if it does hold and we kind of close below here, then I will be interested in a sell targeting kind of down here, yes. And both these trades would only be on the secondary account, because for my main accounts, what I would like to see is all the time frames kind of aligning a little bit more, like, because we're in the middle of this range here still, kind of doing whatever price feels like doing. So yeah, price is very much trapped here right now. So if we take a buy here, I would probably take it with my SL somewhere around here. And we'll take 2 units there, or maybe 1 unit. With the take profit here. But yeah, like I said, guys, only taking this on secondary accounts, guys. Only taking this on secondary accounts. No risk on any main accounts on this, because it's simply not worth the risk. So you can see we're in this trade here. Targeting around 3R with this. Like I said, this is a higher risk trade. So I'm not taking this on any of my accounts that matter, only taking this on secondary accounts to play around a little bit. So we can see here, price going lower now quite a bit. I want to check if there's any SMT here. No. So essentially the reason for this trade was mainly we took the liquidity of PPI news today. We continued up. We have strong SMT here with ES, right? Strong SMT here with ES. And we had continued bullish right here. That was the main reason for this trade. However, the reason why I did not take it on my main accounts is quite clearly because we're in a 15-minute bearish FEG, right? Which makes this a risky trade to be in. However, let's just wait and see, wait for this to play out, and stay objective, stay observing price. Because what can happen also is that we continue bearish from here, and we actually get a bearish setup for our main accounts, right? That could happen, and we don't want to miss something like that just because we're in a bullish trade on a secondary account here, right? So always keep your focus where your focus needs to be, which for me is of course my main accounts, because those are the ones that actually make me large payouts, right? And not these secondary accounts, which, I mean, this right here, what you're seeing is literally just an Apex challenge, right? And the other secondary account that I'm trading on is FTMO 10K account. So, you know, not very large payouts or anything there. So yeah, never forget what your focus is, which is for me my main accounts. This is just some playing around with price here. Letting the order flow do what the order flow does. So this is the 5-minute here that I would like to see get inversed for sells. We still have 40 minutes left in the session, so there's still a lot that can happen. We could definitely still get a setup for our accounts, for the main accounts, especially if price does continue this bearish. We do now have also SMT, bearish SMT. This is good to see for sells here. Right, let me unclutter this a bit, but there is bearish SMT here, right? Which you can see by ES making a higher high here and NAS making a lower high. So that is a good sign for our sells. The 5-minute candle only has 40 seconds left though. But if we close like this, the chances are pretty high that we might continue lower on the next one. And we are creating a bearish FEG here on the 1 minute. Let me mark this as the inversion. Okay, potentially actually not creating this FEG because we're continuing up here. So this 5-minute candle we closed kind of interesting. But what's really going to matter is the close of the 15-minute candle. Like, can we close above the previous 15-minute candle high, the wick, or can we not? That's going to be what's interesting for our position, which is, for anyone who might have just joined, right here, this one here is kind of the position. Like I said, only on accounts that don't really matter, because it's not an A+ setup like the ones I was talking about earlier, right? Where I told you guys to only take A+ setups for a month. This is not one of those setups, guys. So let's see, price is showing some form of bullishness here right now. Let me just mark this on again real quick. Right, we can see some form of bullishness, but not a lot. So it's not a convincing bullish move here. Looking at sort of these time frames, like 3-minute to 5-minute, we can see price is just diddling around here. You know, there's not much going on. There's no nice move here going on currently, and that has been the problem for the past few days. Price has been just kind of moving in kind of not so clean manners, but that's something that's okay. These are times where you simply need to sit out of a trade, right? And here's the thing about something like this. As a trader, your trading, your success is not simply made up of what you do on the charts, because the charts are a reflection of yourself. If you are not disciplined in real life, if you cannot be patient in real life, how will you expect to sit down in front of the charts and all of a sudden you'll be disciplined and you'll be patient and you'll be all those things that make up a profitable trader? That's not going to be happen. So unless you fix these things in real life, you become patient in real life, you become disciplined in real life, these things won't magically appear in the markets. So make sure to put in the work when you're off the charts. Be disciplined when it comes to going to the gym. Be patient when it comes to other things in your life. And you will see how you will become a more disciplined and a more patient person, which will, of course, directly translate into your trading. So let's see here. We can see the 50-minute candle is going to close rather soon. Five-minute candle has closed here. Another 5-minute candle is closing in 2 minutes. It's closing a little bit bearish, maybe, unless we get a push again. So let's wait and see what happens. So we can see here the 15-minute candle actually closed kind of shitty for buys because it closed within the wick of the previous 15-minute candle, right? We can see on ES this 15-minute candle actually closed as a bearish candle even. So once again, we can see PA right now is just not it. It's just not great. It's just not something that I want to be in on any of my on any of my main accounts. But I'm perfectly fine with this risk on my secondary account, so we'll stay in the trade, right? And we'll let it play out. What boring fucking price action. Oh my god. It's actually ridiculous. Look at this shit. Look at this New York session here. One candle pushing to the downside, and ever since then, we moved to the downside by like 40 points here, and we moved to the upside a bit again. This is just not pretty at all. Well, we'll simply wait here, see what happens. Doesn't matter. To be honest, what happens potentially could still get a trade somewhere, but right now it's looking a bit unlikely because price action is just being a bitch. Potentially tomorrow we'll get some nicer price action. And hey, even if the whole week's price action is shit, that's, that just happens. Sometimes there's weeks with shitty price action. In those cases, you just need to sit on your hands, not do anything stupid, not blow your accounts. And I know for a fact there's beginner traders who fucking got a new challenge account or whatever on Sunday and blew that shit within the first 2 days. They blew that shit within Monday and Tuesday because the price action was shit, and shit price action is the worst for new traders, for beginner traders who think that they need to be making money every day or every week, and then they just blow their accounts on shitty price action. So I hope that wasn't any of you, none of you did that, because that is a very beginner mistake. Don't fall into that trap. Stay patient, stay disciplined. Look at this ranging PA here. Oh my god. It's ridiculous. Some serious bullshit going on here, but it is what it is. So we're getting a little bit of a push here finally. It's a bearish push. So let's see if this is going to be a strong push or if price will just continue up again or what's going to happen here. But to be fair, potentially there's just not going to be a trade here today. Except of, well, this one that we're in, but this one doesn't really count because it's not a main account trade. Yeah. Okay. 15 minutes left in the session. There's really not much that will happen here anymore, I believe. So we'll call it a day here. And we'll come back tomorrow. Tomorrow there will hopefully be some nicer PA again, because this has been a little bit shit today. But exactly. See you all tomorrow, guys. Thursday PA is usually quite nice. I quite like Thursdays usually, historically. But see you then. Bye bye.